A Mental Health Psychology-Psychiatry Introduction. This book is for anyone looking for both a lifeline to get away from feeling miserable to enlightenment, which is simple once you know what it is. It's to see yourself as the pure being you are, away from everything you've ever been brainwashed by. Sounds simple, but many people will live an entire lifetime and not realize they are pure beings with their own true natures who do not owe anything to the society around them except to pay bills and follow the laws. Most misery comes from not being who you are in your natural state. Watch any animal. Cage him up, he gets depressed and angry. Let him be free and he's happy. Most of us grow up to be slaves to some artificial value, then wonder why we're not happy. This book covers it all, from the truth to the conventional psychology and mental health dogma, ideas, treatments, therapies, hospitals, etc. It's about the truth as far as human life goes. The only true insight into life. You're a loner with a true nature. All other knowledge about life is someone else's ideas, most of which is BS. A look at the 56 subfields of psychology, with a focus on the biggest one called clinical psychology, which covers mental health and mental illness. The framework of mental illnesses in the DSM, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. Common problems people have dealing with life. Where to find mental health therapy and treatment. Where to find free self-help info and support groups. Where to find knowledge and help for personal problems. Lists of mental health treatment centers / psychiatric hospitals. Self-help success info. Holistic mental health. Anti-mental health industry viewpoints. The 115 volumes on psychology, mental health, and mental problems are as follows. Volume 1. Psychobabble vs. Common Sense Wisdom 1. Volume 2. Psychobabble vs. Common Sense Wisdom 2. Volume 3. The Big Three Theories of Psychology. Volume 4. The Biggest Social Science Frauds. Volume 5. The Psychology Fraud in General. Volume 6. An Evil Human Nature Guide. Volume 7. A Bridge Between Self-Help, Positive Thinking, Success Advice, and Formal Psychology, or Is It All BS? Volume 8. The Mainstream Mental Health Industry. Volume 9. How to Find Mental Health Help, from cms.gov. Volume 10. What is Mental Health Therapy, Pro and Con? Volume 11. Types of Mental Health Therapy. Volume 12. A Find Mental Health Therapy Guide 1. Volume 13. A Find Mental Health Therapy Guide 2. Volume 14. A Relationship, Marriage, and Family Therapy Guide. Volume 15. The Mental Help Warm Line, Helpline, Chat, mostly free. Volume 16. A Mental Health Hotline Guide. Volume 17. A Worldwide Crisis Hotline Guide. Volume 18. A Support Group Guide. Volume 19. A Support Group Guide from dmoz-odp.org. Volume 20. U.S. State Mental Health Licensing Boards, Agencies, and Government Offices. Volume 21. A list of mental health treatment center websites by U.S. state at thenationalcouncil.org. Volume 22. A list of mental health center addresses and phone numbers, no websites by U.S. state. Volume 23. A U.S. Psychiatric Center / Hospital Guide by State from Theagapi Center. Volume 24. A U.S. Mental Health Clinic, Website, Guide. Volume 25. A Canadian Mental Health Psychology Guide 1. Volume 26. A Canadian Mental Health Psychology Guide 2. Volume 27. A Canadian Mental Health Psychology Guide 3. Volume 28. A Canada Depression Guide. Volume 29. A UK-Ireland Mental Health Psychology Guide. Volume 30. A Mental Disorder Classification Guide / Formal Mental Illnesses. Volume 31. A Mental Health Drug Guide. Volume 32. A Mental Health Problem Issue Illness Guide. Volume 33. An Addiction Guide. Volume 34. A Shyness Guide. Volume 35. An Anxiety Guide. Volume 36. A Phobia Guide. Volume 37. A Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder, PTSD, Guide. Volume 38. A Stress Guide. Volume 39. A Meditation Relaxation Guide. Volume 40. A Personality Disorder Guide. Volume 41. Obsessive-compulsive, OCD, or Impulsive Disorders. Volume 42. The Schizophrenic Spectrum of Disorders. Volume 43. A Narcissist Guide. Volume 44. A Depression Guide. Volume 45. How to Heal Depression, a public domain book. Volume 46. An Alternative Depression Guide. Volume 47. A Bipolar/Manic Depression Guide. Volume 48. A Suicide Help and Suicide Survivor Guide. Volume 49. A Suicide Website Guide. Volume 50. A United States Suicide Hotline Guide. Volume 51. A Worldwide Suicide Hotline Guide. Volume 52. A Child-Teen Mental Health Psychology Guide. Volume 53. A Child Mental Health Psychology Website Guide. Volume 54. An Adolescent Teen Youth Mental Health Website Guide. Volume 55. A Women's Mental Health Psychology Guide. Volume 56. A Postpartum Depression/PPD Guide. Volume 57. A Psychology Guide. Volume 58. Emotions, Self-Esteem, and Personality Psychology. Volume 59. A Positive Psychology Guide. Volume 60. A Holistic Positive Psychology Idea Guide. Volume 61. An Uplifting Ideas Guide. Volume 62. A Happiness Guide 1. Volume 63. A Happiness Guide 2. Volume 64. An Educational Psychology Philosophy Guide. Volume 65. A Cognitive Psychology Guide, Studying How a Person Thinks. Volume 66. A Job Work Industrial Psychology Guide. Volume 67. A Sports Psychology Guide. Volume 68. A Psychology Publication Guide. Volume 69. A Psychology Aptitude Career Test Guide. Volume 70. A Psychiatry Guide. Volume 71. An Anti-Mental Health Guide, Psychology as a Science of Human Behavior is a Fraud. Volume 72. A Free Spirit Takes on the World's Wisdom About Life. Volume 73. An Anti-Psychiatry-Mental Patient Activist Rights Guide. Volume 74. The Local Office Websites of the National Alliance for the Mentally Ill, NAMI, from the agapecenter.com/organization/nami.htm. Volume 75. Specialty Psychology Associations Organizations from the Agape Center. Volume 76. U.S. State Psychology Mental Health Counselor Social Work Organizations and Boards from the Agape Center. Volume 77. A U.S. National and State Counselor Therapy Organization Guide from the agapecenter.com/organization/counseling.htm. Volume 78. A Specialty Counselor Therapy Social Work Organization Guide from the agapecenter.com/organization/specialties/index.htm. Volume 79. A Mental Health Psychology Association Organization Guide. Volume 80. A list of mental health organization websites from the agapecenter.com/organization/index.htm and the agapecenter.com/organization/mental-health/index.htm. 1. Volume 81. A list of mental health organization websites from the agapecenter.com/organization/index.htm and the agapecenter.com/organization/mental-health/index.htm2. Volume 82. A U.S. Mental Health Organization Guide by State. Volume 83. A Mental Health Help Right Now Guide. Volume 84. A Military and Veteran Mental Health Guide. Volume 85. A Canada Mental Health Help Right Now Guide. Volume 86. A Mental Health Resource Guide. Volume 87. A Mental Health Resource Guide from Dr. Phil. Volume 88. A Mental Health Website Guide. Volume 89. A Mental Health and Illness Website Guide from DMAS ODP. Volume 90. A Mental Health Website Guide by State at dmos-od.org/regional/north_america/united_states/health/mental_h-health/by_state. Volume 91. A Psychology-Mental Health Website Guide at mindremakeproject.org 1. Volume 92. A Psychology-Mental Health Website Guide at mindremakeproject.org 2. Volume 93. A Psychology Mental Health Business Website Guide for Workers in the Biz. Volume 94. A Mental Health Website Guide for Workers and Patients Consumers. Volume 95. A Mental Health Website Guide from feedspot.com. Volume 96. A Worldwide Mental Health Website Guide at checkpointerg.com. Volume 97. An American Psychological Association Sub-Association and Division Website Guide. Volume 98. A Psychology Website Guide 1. Volume 99. A Psychology Website Guide 2. Volume 100. A Psychology Website Guide 3. Volume 101. A Straight List of Psychology Websites. Volume 102. A Psychology Website Guide from dmos-odp.org. Volume 103. A Psychology Website Guide from feedspot.com. Volume 104. A World Psychology Organization Website Guide. Volume 105. An Australia Psychology Mental Health Guide. Volume 106. A Big List of Worldwide Psychology Organizations at archive.org then scimeet.com. Volume 107. A Sex Therapy Workshop Seminar Guide. Volume 108. A Love, Sex, and Marriage Organization Guide. Volume 109. A Gay Mental Health Guide. Volume 110. A Sociology Guide. Volume 111. An Anti-Relationship/Anti-Love Guide. Volume 112. A Love Mental Illness/Love Sickness Guide. Volume 113. A Loneliness Existential Loneliness Guide. Volume 114. A Hate Guide, Many Haters Think They're Loving People. Volume 115. An Anger Guide. Every Human is Good and Evil in One. The Bible, a common-sense book about life written 2,500 to 2,000 years ago, is a cautionary tale about how evil the human race is. The modern science of psychology does not want to adequately address how evil we actually are. The book of Proverbs is a lesson in trying to control anger. Dante covered the 7 deadly sins in the Inferno in the Divine Comedy in 1371. The 1936 movie Green Pastures with an all-black cast is a look at the good and evil within the human race. The fields of psychology and psychiatry are fake sciences of human behavior. The simple reason is that no human being knows what's going on in the mind of another human being. There aren't two people on this planet that know what's going on in each other's minds, yet we pretend to have mapped out an entire science that understands people and puts them into all kinds of behavioral and personality categories. Is this a conscious fraud to control people, a collective delusion, or just a low-level scam to make money? As far as the college curriculum goes for psychology or the human condition, within the social sciences, there is no smoking gun insight there about human life. I studied psychology because I wanted someone to give me one great simple theory about life that would enlighten me, but it doesn't exist within the field of psychology. At best, it's just a bunch of random ideas and experimental results all thrown together called a science. It goes worse when they call Sigmund Freud the father of psychology, a guy who haphazardly stole some ideas from other guys, went on cocaine binges while he talked to rich Viennese women to develop his psychosexual theories of life off the top of his head, which goes against the so-called science of human behavior, which asserts that everything must be measured according to the scientific method. You can't just create ideas off the top of your head. That's not science. That's creative writing. I eventually figured my life out on my own. I'm a loner with my own true nature. I feel good when I release natural energy from a natural intuitive standard inside of me of who I am and what I was born to do. I wake up my most days and proceed to burn off some God-given natural energy, then rest for a while and feel good. If anyone takes 20 or so courses and does some dissertation, they get a doctorate in any of the social science fields, even if they're the nerdiest, most introverted person around who has no experience in the real world with real people. The only truths in life are: you are who you are the way you were born. The happiest people try to live as purely as they can, releasing their natural energy, following their true natures, not following capitalist pop culture religious indoctrination, which I call the artificial values of the world. The only thing that can save you is you. The search for love is good, but not worth destroying your life for, as many people do, trying to get someone to love them romantically. If you want unconditional love, love an animal or seek some kind of pure heavenly love from a supernatural force, as some people claim to get with prayer or near-death experiences when God talks to them. If you want to help someone, help them one-on-one in the moment with friendship, common sense, and love. Don't put them into some artificial cold clinical mental illness or learning disability category created by a bunch of fake know-it-alls. I was young and naive once. I believed in the traditional system of formal knowledge. Firstly, I was brainwashed by capitalism, the idea of making lots of money, so I majored in business administration in college. Even though I was stupid at that time, I was smart enough to realize it was boring. It wouldn't be worth it to do something boring for the rest of my life just to make money, so I made the next switch in my journey, which was to major in political science. Within about a year, I figured out that the term political science is an oxymoron. There is no science to politics. Politics is simple. It's the same everywhere, regardless of the system or organization, regardless of how good any rhetoric is about any ideology. A few evil egomaniacs always rise to the top of any system or organization to control it. Politics always degenerates to power and corruption. Good people get into politics, but almost all of them are corrupted within a few years. The general ideology is that the system is screwed no matter what you do. It runs on Machiavellian principles. Evil runs the world. That's the way it is. There is nothing anyone can do about it. The Bible says the world is ruled by a supernatural evil empire in Ephesians 6:12. The big boys in charge before you ever got there in any system anywhere offer you money and favors to go along with them. If you don't, they either assassinate your character or kill you, i.e., Confessions of an Economic Hitman. In the parlance, they said take your pick, gold or lead, money or a bullet. The game is to get what can for yourself. The world is too screwed for anyone to actually help the human race in any significant way. People in charge are too selfish to let that happen. They always have to get the biggest cut for themselves before helping the unwashed masses. There are unproven conspiracies that we already have the technology for free energy and anti-gravity, but the people in charge don't let them out because they would lose their base of money and control over the people if there was wireless electricity and easy-to-use flying machines. I studied the Bible as a Catholic going to Catholic school. Human beings always screwed it up. It wasn't just Sodom and Gomorrah, Noah's flood, and the Tower of Babel. In the many Bible stories, people always degenerate to evil. Look at our economic system. Banks create money out of nothing through a process called fractional reserve banking, then lend it to people and governments and expect that money back at compound interest. You're all wage slaves paying taxes to an evil system and you think you're free, but this book is not about that. I'm just saying we're all in this matrix that is controlling us, a part of which is the lie of the science of psychology. As a naive kid, I thought that psychology was a cool, interesting, mysterious field where they unlocked the secrets to living a great, happy, carefree, peaceful life. I thought there are some smart people over there wearing white lab coats studying human life, the brain, frontiers of human consciousness. I majored in psychology and quickly started studying things I had no interest in, like operant conditioning experiments where you feed a rat a pellet after he presses a lever, but I still gave it a chance because I had been brought up on 1940s and 1950s science fiction horror type movies that often had a Svengali Rasputin-like character in them who controlled others with his mind, or had some psychiatrist analyzing people, seeming to know what was going on in their minds. I got sucked in by such terms as the subconscious mind, dream psychology, and hypnosis. I used to read the cute little psychology tests in Reader's Digest and some of the tabloids that asked, "Are you happy? Do you have the traits of a successful person? How shy are you? Are you an introvert or an extrovert? Are you a courageous person?" etc. As I lived my life, I got the courage to listen to myself. It took me until I was about 27 years old to become enlightened. Enlightenment is that point when you realize I am who I am, the way I was born, made by God or whatever created me. All other knowledge about life is someone else's stuff. Most of it is bullshit. Why do they have all those majors in college under the umbrella of the social sciences? They're supposed to teach people to understand life so they can improve theirs, but most of the stuff I was taught in college about life was roundabout trivial nothingness that complicates life, not simplifies it. Why not teach one simple course about life that says you are who you are in your own purity, the way you were born? Honor that. Follow the laws of society to avoid going to jail, but don't listen to other people's bullshit about life. Rather than proclaim the simple truth about human life, they stretch their fake knowledge to over 100 different majors, which altogether don't amount to a rat's ass if they don't tell you the truth that you're you alone with your own unique purity. That's good enough. You don't have to conform to their ideas or their system. That's all you need to be enlightened, to realize the whole world is a massive system of ideas bearing down on your purity all the time, having the courage to say screw them all with their bullshit. I have no problem with true objective knowledge as with logic, mathematics, science, and real skills, but all so-called wisdom about life is a bunch of subjective ideas, usually someone's delusions or lies. The social sciences in college is a massive fraud that sucks naive young people out of their money and warp the minds of the ones who buy into it. I realized there is no such thing as a subconscious mind. I am who I am right here, right now, that's it. My cat doesn't have a subconscious mind. He doesn't have any wounded inner child baggage from his past. There are limits to my memory. It doesn't mean I'm repressing bad memories from childhood that only a professional therapist at $100 an hour can help me solve. Dreams could mean something. If you're working on a problem or have a problem, a dream can help you solve it through a process called incubation, but most of the time, dreams are meaningless musings, just like when Wilder Penfield hit different parts of exposed brains, he cut their skulls open, with an electrode, and people remembered random events from their lives. I don't believe there is such a thing as hypnosis. Supposedly somebody puts you into a state where you're not consciously aware of what's going on but perfectly alert, answering this so-called therapist or showman who put you under hypnosis, accessing your subconscious mind. The best anyone can do is make you feel relaxed but not out of consciousness. Entertainers have funny hypnosis shows by finding nice people in the audience mixed in with at least one plant who go along with the show rather than embarrass him. I've been to hypnosis shows. I think the showman picks people who he thinks will try to please him, not free thinkers who will say screw you, I'm not hypnotized. People have tried to hypnotize me. Nothing happened. I don't believe there is a state of mind where a person is alert but not conscious, able to follow another person's commands. This is some kind of science fiction stuff that somehow became a part of conventional wisdom. People believe in it. I don't. I listened to the UFO abduction tape of Barney Hill when he was supposedly hypnotized about his 1961 experience. I don't think he was in any trance. He was perfectly conscious. The hypnotist brought him back to the event with his words and Barney recounted it as an honest man. He was genuinely scared. I believe he was conscious. He wasn't in some trance-like state as he relived it. People have been using an aura of mystique to control other people since the beginning of humanity. Convince someone that you know something deep and advanced about life that they don't know that you got either through God or advanced wisdom and you can control them in some way. This is what Frank Baum and Hans Christian Andersen warned us about in their stories The Wizard of Oz and The Emperor's New Clothes, this facade of superiority some people try to use to control others. There's an intimidation factor to psychology. The word itself, psychology, sounds powerful and mysterious. They've blown up this field from a few guys writing common sense life advice articles off the top of their heads to saying it's a science of human behavior. The American Psychological Association has at least 56 divisions that they've dissected human life down to. You can't write common sense articles about life anymore. That's not science. They now have over 1,000 academic psychology journals which publish the scientific psychology experiments they do, calling it knowledge. Some of these psychologists think they're advancing knowledge about life. All they're doing is filling those academic journals up with useless articles. Nobody reads them except for naive college students because many people living in the real world realize that the social science academia industry is bullshit piled on more bullshit. It's like Billy Preston's old song, nothing from nothing leaves nothing. A billion bits of meaningless psychology experimental results mean nothing because there are only 3 big insights that are the linchpin of living a great life. 1. I am who I am in my own natural purity. Next to that, the best life knowledge I can get from out in the world is mildly inspirational at best. Most of it is straight up useless junk knowledge. 2. Everybody is a unique individual living through unique situations. Because of that, you can't come up with universal life advice that works in all the things people do and all the situations they encounter. 3. Nobody knows what is going on in anybody else's mind, so you cannot create a science of human behavior if you barely know what any other human being is thinking. Psychology is an industry that provides lots of useless jobs. How many of those people doing those jobs know they're useless or really believe in what they're doing? It shows how far people will go to protect their self-interests. Psychology is not just a harmless deception like selling useless snake oil. They're giving bad advice and drugs that ruin people's lives. Go online and type in terms like hurt by psychology, psychiatry. Damaged by psychology, psychiatry. Victim of psychology, psychiatry. Anti-psychology, psychiatry. Against psychology, psychiatry. Lies of psychology, psychiatry. Psychology, psychiatry fraud. Psychology, psychiatry crime against humanity. Psychology is easily one of the biggest frauds of the 20th century, coming along just in time to replace religious leaders with phony experts pretending to have advanced scientific knowledge about human life. Many people see words like psychology, psychiatry, and mental health on TV and in the media and they assume they must be wise people over there with advanced insights into life. When the average kid goes to college, they're intimidated by these big psychology departments with psychology textbooks, journals, research labs, etc. Not many people can look at it all and have the wisdom and courage to be like the kid in the fairy tale The Emperor's New Clothes who said the emperor is naked. It's fake knowledge. Colleges make lots of money but they're wasting the students' time and money by teaching all these courses that do not yield the only insight that matters. I stand alone in the world as my God created me. I will never know what anyone else thinks. No one will ever know what I think until we evolve to telepathy, therefore I won't waste my time trying to guess what's going on in the minds of others. I'll pay my way, follow the laws, but beyond that, I will not allow any fake knowledge to invade my mind. The highest thing anybody can teach you about life is: think for yourself in your own purity, away from the brainwash of the world. You can choose to be brainwashed by the seemingly advanced mystical scientific study of human consciousness, or think your own pure thoughts. If everybody is alone or universes apart from everybody else in the privacy of our minds, how can there possibly be a science of human behavior if no person knows what's going on in the mind of anyone else, yet we pretend we have a huge system of psychology, mental illness, and mental health, all scientifically mapped out by wise academics? Many people fall for it. People want to be victims. They want to be diagnosed with a mental illness to take responsibility for their lives away from themselves and blame it on some fictitious reason called a mental illness caused by a biochemical imbalance in the brain. Everybody wins except for the truth. The patient gets to be a wimp with a phony excuse for being a pathetic human being and a loser lazy bum. The mental health professional makes money from therapy sessions and prescribing the mental health drugs. They also get power over people and status as wise people in the community. The drug companies make money by providing drugs that they hope the patient will get addicted to. We're spiritual essence. Some people call it consciousness. You determine your mood all the minutes of your life by that feeling that is you. Everybody creates their own moods and biochemistry all the minutes of the day. That's why a mental illness diagnosis doesn't mean anything, because you're fluid. You create your life all the time. You can feel mundane and depressed right now, then do something exhilarating, then feel really good for a while. Nobody is some mental illness label somebody puts on them 24/7, all the time. People buy into it without saying hold up for a minute. That sounds flaky to me. The mental health and drug industries say you don't control your behavior. Your neurotransmitters do. We can elevate neurotransmitter levels with pills. We can give you all the pills you want. At the end of the day, it's you alone with your free spirit. You are the essence that is you. Every human being has to live alone in their own heads. For that reason alone, the entire mental health industry fails. Do not let anyone tell you how to live or pretend they got some kind of fake wisdom on life that you don't have. We live in an artificial capitalist pop culture religious world. They're trying to give us artificial solutions with their system-sanctioned experts. When I was a kid, we spent our summers in a cottage at Lake Echo where I learned what it's like to be natural in the woods. That's who I am. I'm nothing more than that 5-year-old kid in the woods. I don't need your fake knowledge. The world tries to mold you its way. I made it to old age without being molded. That's mental health, when you can earn a living without bending to the fake ideologies of the world. How much of our stress and anxiety comes from being molded to an artificial way of life? I'm supposed to let somebody called a therapist tell me there's something wrong with me after talking to me for 10 minutes, then giving me drugs. Go ahead. Be a bunch of brainwashed wimps with your fake science of human behavior, no different than Dianetics, the fake science of the human mind created by L. Ron Hubbard with his Scientology BS. I saw a documentary that revealed the 18th level of Scientology as a hokey cosmic science fiction war. People studied it for years only to be told at the end that the big insight was some pulp fiction story Hubbard created. Incidentally, he was a science fiction writer in the 1930s before he created Scientology. You can have some therapist talking at you for 1 session a week, or the priest talking at you in church on Sunday, but an hour after you're out of there, these artificial talks are gone from your head and you're back to you alone in your natural self. At one time, I used to listen to motivational inspirational tapes in my car and when I worked out, but I stopped because I realized they're just a bunch of talking heads pumping temporary dialogue into me. Within an hour, all the motivational talk in the world was gone from my head. I was back to me alone, being my natural self. I listen to music now because it makes me feel good. I don't need any inspiration from outside of me. It's all in my head. The willpower is there naturally to want to live a good life. Every human being has to live with themselves. Some people figure out how to do it in a happy, peaceful way. For me, it's natural to be happy and peaceful. I don't create drama. I don't worry too much. I don't feel guilty about anything or dwell over past negative events. I control anger by being superficially polite even with people I can't stand. I go by the book of Proverbs statement, when you're angry, keep your tongue still. People choose to complicate their lives because of money, ambition, and relationships. There is the natural pure you and the artificial values of the world. Many people want romantic love then get into a relationship with a less than desirable person. I wrote a love marriage wedding book. Somewhere in there is a Jewish saying that goes something like, if you got a good wife, you got everything. If you got a bad wife, you're screwed. Your life is a disaster. How many people live in loveless marriages? I figured my life out by being rational about it. If something is causing me pain, I try to eliminate it. I don't react with primal emotion to anything that happens. I slow down and analyze it. Think like a loser, then that's you. All you have to do is get up off your ass and live. You can't be happy sitting on a couch. Happiness takes action, releasing your natural energy with joy and gusto for the process. Many stupid, naive brainwashed victims fall prey to the mental health industry. They need patients to make money. The criminal justice system is a great place to create new patients. A criminal is someone who got caught doing something evil. It's not enough that it's pure, simple evil. That criminal is now a desperate person who wants to get out of jail no matter what. Let's create a mental illness for that person and blame it on that. This has created money and jobs for both sides. The judge and prosecution routinely call for a mental health evaluation while the defense is always looking for some straw to hold onto to better their argument, but the whole thing is a sham. People do bad things because it's a part of human nature. It's not mental illness. It's who you are. Evil thoughts are natural. Many people act on them. Many people want to get something for nothing or hurt someone. Anger is big in the book of Proverbs and as one of Dante's 7 deadly sins. It's not mental illness. It's human. Oppositional defiant disorder is a stupid way of saying someone is naturally evil. If you did something bad, it's because you were a scumbag at that moment. Everybody is a scumbag. Let's not shroud it in a big fiction called mental illness, but it creates jobs. If we're willing to believe in a science of mental illness, what else are we willing to believe that's ridiculous? We have individuals with problems. That's as far as the science or knowledge goes, every individual, one by one. A definition of schizophrenia is irrational thinking. Almost everybody thinks by emotions, not logic. A definition of depression is a feeling of sadness or emptiness. That's almost everybody every few days. I work hard, get tired, get temporary feelings of fatigue which could be called depression. I can feel empty just by not eating for a day or two. As soon as I eat, my mood shoots up. This system of mental health is insanity, but it's about money, jobs, and power over weak, stupid people, and everybody goes along acting like it's a normal thing. There is no such thing as a biochemical imbalance in the brain, as I explain later. If we're any good as a human race, we must destroy this lie, take the profit motive out of this industry, and try to help people who want help for personal problems by talking to them in a loving way. The system we got now is dishonest at the schooling level, where they offer naive students degrees in psychology and the other social sciences that yield no insight into life but make these schools loads of money. These students get these degrees and have no true insight into life. Some realize it was a fraud. They're stuck now with useless degrees and no more insight into life from taking these courses, but according to the system, they're mental health professionals, so they perpetuate the fraud by going along pretending they have life insights and can help people by taking jobs as counselors, therapists, social workers, etc. There is no science or insight in this fake body of knowledge called psychology. All the mental health drugs are a fraud. You don't solve a life problem with drugs. Life is spirit. Fix the spirit. Much of the professional mental health advice makes people worse than when they came in for help. They ruin many people's lives because people believe what they say, follow it and take it to heart, but it's the wrong way to solve personal problems. The right way is to be as natural and pure as you can be while being loving and friendly to a troubled person. Explain to them you're good enough as you are naturally, as long as you don't hurt anyone or break any laws. Anything else is artificial junk from the world. For the first 50 years, from about 1923 to the early 1970s, the mental health industry touted psychotherapy, which were endless therapy sessions to probe a person's past to uncover repressed negative memories in the fictitious subconscious mind to supposedly set the person free, which was wrong because the past means nothing. A person is who they are right now at this moment. They brought in post-traumatic stress syndrome, which means something is so traumatic that it disrupts your life months and years later, and got some military guys to say they have it. I say it's a big money grab for both sides. The mental health industry gets a new mental illness to make money from, while the military veterans get to claim disability benefits from this fictitious disorder. You can go through some great tragedy and think about it for about 3 to 6 days when you wake up in the morning, but if you're still dwelling on it after 7 days and can't get out of bed because the negative thoughts have incapacitated you so much, real people call this laziness or wimpiness, not PTSD. Why don't we give them all lollipops, teddy bears, hugs, kisses and dance together? But that's not professionally scientific. We have to be clinical about it. They took love and friendship out of helping troubled people by trying to make it a science. I sometimes listen to a radio show called Unshackled, which exists at unshackled.org, on YouTube, and on many Christian radio stations. This is a religious ministry that's over 100 years old. It's a homeless shelter in Chicago that takes in at least 1,000 people every night. They create these radio plays from there. They help troubled people out of love. There is no judgment or no probing questions. It's just a case of you're down and out, you came here of your own free will asking for help. We'll help you as much as we can. They don't try to put some psychobabble on it and pretend it's science. The religious ministries do what they do out of love and compassion. To me, both approaches to help people have problems. A lot of people don't want to listen to religious testimonies. A lot of people don't want psychobabble based on some fake science of human behavior. When you're hurting, you want a sympathetic friend. Why can't we all think freely and say, if you got a problem, I can be a friend to talk to, and together we'll try to solve it in a friendly way, like the ancient Greeks created the dialectic, a method of talking to each other to come to the truth of any issue. In the 1970s, they moved into mental health drugs, and the psychobabble industry exploded with new books and TV talk shows on any half-assed theory, therapy, or idea any so-called expert came up with. They brainwashed most of human society into thinking there are bona fide psychologists, psychiatrists, and mental health professionals with some kind of advanced knowledge about life that we, as average people uneducated in this fake knowledge, don't have, so we give them this power over our minds. Everybody is a loner with their own purity stuck in their own heads, known to no one but themselves. You alone solve whatever is going on in your head, or you don't. Nobody can do it for you. People can sympathize and be a friend, but that's it. We were all born with natural intuition. The system tries to convince us that your own free thoughts are not good enough. We need phony experts with fake knowledge dispensing fake wisdom, offering us drugs to change our moods. Many people have been diagnosed with a mental illness who think they're damaged for life because some fake expert told them you're permanently mentally ill for one reason or another, either the fictitious biochemical imbalance in your brain, your mother didn't love you enough, or any other fake knowledge they make up. And let's not forget the false memories they implanted into people, alleging sexual abuse by fathers on daughters that never happened. Life is here and now. It's a conscious effort in the moment. That's all it is. Some fake expert who sandwiches you in for 45 minutes a week in among 20 other clients cannot possibly get intimate enough with you to offer real insight into your life like a loving friend would. Anybody can go inspired, neutral, or depressed on a dime. It's up to every individual in their own minds every moment of their lives. That's the best insight we got. There's nothing more. All any human being owns is their mood in the moment right now. That's it, just like your cat. It doesn't get any deeper than that, yet we have constructed all this psychobabble to supposedly help us live better lives. All the cute headlines are there for all the new psychology self-help articles that are constantly coming out on every news browser. It never ends. You don't reach some elusive level of self-actualization, then you're there on the mountaintop of human beauty and greatness for life. You wake up mundane every day. You either create your life by doing stuff that makes you feel good or sit around not doing much of anything. We have this huge mental health system in college, in the judicial system, and as its own system set up to supposedly help troubled people. Many people make money and get power over other people by promoting victimization that creates patients out of weak people who want mental health treatment to make their lives easier by having an excuse for being losers. We have a lot of wimps that do not want to stand alone, as we all are by virtue of being alive, to take responsibility for their lives. They want a fake sage to talk to them, prescribe them mental health drugs and say it's not your fault, you're a loser wimp, you were born that way. We're talking about a huge system representing at least 1 million jobs in the United States alone, if you include all the social science teachers, the mental health professionals working for the government, big corporations, NGOs, and in private practice, and all the drug companies selling mental health drugs. We need a system where we teach simple enlightenment to people. You are who you are in your own purity, the way you were born, away from everything you have ever been indoctrinated by. Discover your true nature. Have the courage to live by releasing this natural energy inside of you all the time. This is what makes you happy, being as natural as you can be away from the artificial values of the world. If you feel down and out, we can have counselors and therapists, not people who took meaningless courses in college, but truly loving people who want to help others by being a sympathetic friend in the moment, like religious people do. That's the best anyone can do in helping someone with a troubled mind. I like the addiction people because most of them don't mess with psychobabble. Most substance abuse counselors are former addicts. An addict can talk to somebody who was a junkie like him or her at one time. This is a genius way to help people, not by having some ivory tower bullshitter pretend they know something from some vague theory they studied somewhere. In a righteous, just society, psychobabble and mental health drugs would not exist. If somebody is troubled, we would have people like the guidance counselors in school, not phony experts pretending they have advanced insights into life, but down-to-earth, warm, kind-hearted, decent, humble people willing to be friendly, not clinical, not trying to put you into some mental health category. This year all around the world, another crop of naive kids will be indoctrinated by fraudulent psychology courses at college, pretending this is the cutting edge of life, while another group of troubled people not smart enough to see they are being manipulated will be diagnosed with a fraudulent mental illness. It's about making money on the backs of the weak, the naive, the brainwashed, and the stupid. You don't believe in voodoo. A psychologist, psychiatrist, life coach, self-help guru, or any mental health professional is the same thing as a witch doctor. They serve the exact same function, an ordinary person pretending they have some kind of advanced insights and power that they use to manipulate people. Let's shroud our snake oil in our new religion that we call science, but it's not science. We're just pretending it's science. They got their neat little categories of mental illnesses, and all the naive to stupid plebeians buy into them without questioning them. If one of these phony experts says you're bipolar, schizophrenic, or have OCD, you've been brainwashed to buy it hook, line and sucker, just like I was brainwashed as a kid to believe the doctor when he told me to get some pills that will heal me. Now as an adult, I have a limited trust in medical doctors because they've been so brainwashed to sell drugs as the linchpin of their so-called medical science. They got so many theories and ideas in this field of psychology that some of them contradict each other, like psychoanalysis, which asserts that we all had negative childhoods where we bury away painful memories that can only be brought out by a trained therapist through psychotherapy to heal us. Then the humanists tout Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs with self-actualization at the top, asserting that humans want to be noble and great, to try really hard to do inspired, fantastic things with their lives, which is not true because most people are stuck in capitalist land trying to make enough money to pay bills by working artificial jobs that are not close to their natures. Then after they're done work for the day, all they want to do is escape from that mundane place by getting high or being entertained by meaningless junk. There are many more drug addicts, video game addicts and social media addicts than people trying to cure cancer or studying rocket science. The communists created a system where they said it was about workers' rights, where everybody was equal, but it was really a dictatorship. The Muslims have a system where they can kill members of their own family for supposedly dishonoring them. They had a pandemic or plandemic where they said we have a coronavirus, while common illnesses like the flu, influenza, the cold, and pneumonia disappeared for 2 years. Very few people dared to speak up against any of these systems, but all of them are wrong. What we need within the psychology-psychiatry mental health system is a full-scale revolution where many people come forward and say it's fraudulent fake knowledge, but it won't happen for 2 reasons. Most people don't have true courage. Most people are getting something out of it. The workers make money. The patients get an excuse and drugs for their wimpy lives. It's common sense and love versus an oppressive system of fake science. Are we good enough as the human race for people to come forward and say let's get rid of this fraud and use a simpler way to help troubled people by being supportive without psychobabble labels? The mental health system is so big now. So many people are making money off it that evil will probably rule the day. They will keep making money while ruining people's lives with the lies. The naive kids will go to school, take psychology courses and buy into it before they have a chance to think freely for themselves. Meanwhile, Huck Finn, Mark Twain's mythical character, sits on the shore of the Mississippi, the freest person on earth, wondering why are they all so stupid. Then he says, screw it, I gotta live my own life. I can't be wasting time on this evil system I can't control.